Hey buddy, let's be real here for a second. Doesn't it feel like every offseason we're having the same conversation about the Cowboys' wide receiver room? I mean, here we are again, staring down the start of training camp, and the WR2 spot still feels like an unsolved mystery. Sure, we've got CeeDee Lamb holding down WR1 like a superstar. No one's doubting him. But after him, things get murky. Brandon Cooks was supposed to be that veteran presence, right? A speed guy who could stretch the field and give Dak Prescott another reliable option. And to be fair, he had his moments last season. But let's not pretend he was a game changer. There were games where he barely showed up on the stat sheet. Michael Gallup? Don't get me started. The drop in production post-injury has been painful to watch. And with the team moving on from him, it's clear the front office saw the same thing we all did, that he's not the same Gallup from 2019. Then you look at Jalen Tolbert. Now, I'm not giving up on him, and I know some fans are really pulling for him to break out. But can we honestly say he's ready to be WR2 on a playoff contender? That's a big leap based on what we've seen so far. So here's the question I want to ask you. Do you feel confident in the Cowboys' current wide receiver depth behind CeeDee? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about it. And if you had to make the call right now, who's your WR2, Cooks, Tolbert, or someone else entirely? Vote in the poll right here. And let's see where Cowboys Nation stands. All right, now that we've set the stage with what we've got, let's move to what's being whispered behind the scenes. Because trade rumors are starting to heat up again. So here's where things start getting really interesting, because the Cowboys aren't just sitting on their hands hoping someone steps up internally. Nope. There's buzz. And that buzz has a few familiar names in it. Word around the league is that Dallas has been poking around, exploring potential trade options at wide receiver. Not surprising, right? What is surprising are some of the names being floated. One name that just keeps coming up? George Pickens from the Steelers. Now look, this isn't your average, maybe they'd answer the phone type of rumor. There's legit talk that things have been tense between Pickens and Pittsburgh, whether it's about attitude, role, or usage. The guy has WR1 level talent, no doubt about it. If the Cowboys could pull off a deal for him, that could be a game changer. Then there's DJ Moore. This one's a bit trickier. The Bears made a big investment in Moore when they brought him over, but with Caleb Williams now running the show, there's some uncertainty about how they want to structure that offense long-term. If Dallas believes Moore could be that steady WR2, or even a 1B to Lamb's 1A, it might be worth a call. And let's not ignore the Amari Cooper talk either. I know, we've been down that road before. But with Cooper entering the final year of his contract and Cleveland facing cap decisions, a reunion isn't out of the question. Here's the thing. The Cowboys don't usually make splashy mid-off-season trades. But given the pressure on this front office to finally make a deep playoff run, would you be surprised if they pulled the trigger? Let me ask you this. Which of these wideouts would you want most in a Cowboys uniform? Pickens, Moore, Cooper again? Or someone else I didn't mention? Sound off in the comments. And don't forget to hit the poll with your top trade target. Coming up next, let's talk about the guy already on the roster who just might be the biggest wild card in this whole WR conversation. All right, so let's shift the focus a bit. With all the trade rumors flying around, it's easy to overlook someone who's already wearing the star. I'm talking about Jalen Tolbert. Now hang on, before you scroll past thinking he's just depth, let's really break this down. Tolbert was a third-round pick in 2022, and yeah, his rookie year didn't exactly light up the box score. But last season? Quietly, he took some solid steps forward. He looked more confident, more physical, and he actually earned the trust of the coaching staff. That's not easy to do when you're behind guys like CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. And let's be real, the Cowboys need someone to step into that WR2 or WR3 role with consistency. Gallup's gone. Cooks is solid but aging. Jalen Tolbert, meanwhile, is entering year 3, which is often when wide receivers make the leap. The Cowboys are clearly hoping that he's about to put it all together. In OTAs and early workouts, reports say Tolbert's been getting first-team reps and Dak has been targeting him more. That's a big sign. You don't give a guy that kind of spotlight unless there's a real belief that he can handle it. So here's my question to you. Do you think Jalen Tolbert can actually step up and be that reliable WR2 Dallas needs? Or do you think the team has to look outside the building for answers? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And be honest, I want to know how much faith you've got in Tolbert. Coming up next, we're talking about the Cowboys' WR depth beyond the big names, and which dark horse candidates could surprise everyone at camp and during preseason. Okay, so we've talked about the big trade targets, and we've talked about Jalen Tolbert. But let's not forget, there are still several other wide receivers on this roster fighting for a real shot. The question is, can any of them step up and surprise us? Let's start with Jalen Brooks, a 7th-round pick in 2023. He didn't get much action last year, but he's got some traits you can't teach. Size, strong hands, and a fearless attitude going over the middle. The coaches like his toughness, and if he flashes in camp, he could absolutely be part of the rotation. Then there's Cavante Turpin. Now, you probably know him best as the return specialist. And yeah, he's electric in space. But he's been pushing for more offensive snaps, too. He may never be a volume receiver, but in the right packages, he can absolutely stress defenses. Think jet sweeps, bubble screens, misdirection, stuff that keeps defensive coordinators awake at night. And don't sleep on Jalen Cropper either. He's one of those undrafted guys who just keeps hanging around because of his route running and hustle. He's not flashy, but he's reliable. And sometimes that's exactly what you need from a WR4 or WR5. The point is, the Cowboys may not have a true WR2 on paper right now, but there's a real chance someone already in the building could step up, especially with how open this competition is. It's not just about talent, it's about chemistry with Dak, understanding the system, and showing up when it matters most. So here's the poll for today. If you had to put your chips on one of these dark horse wideouts, Brooks, Turpin, or Cropper, who are you betting on to make an impact? Vote in the comments and tell me why. I want to hear your bold predictions. Coming up in our final chapter, we'll wrap things up with a clear view of where the Cowboys stand now and how these WR2 options could shape the entire offense in 2025. All right, here's where it all comes together. Because no matter how you slice it, this wide receiver situation is going to define a huge part of the Cowboys' 2025 season. It's not just about who gets the WR2 label. It's about how this offense flows. It's about giving Dak Prescott the help he needs to finally get this team over the playoff hump. Think about it. Whether the Cowboys swing a trade for a proven playmaker like George Pickens or DJ Moore, whether Jalen Tolbert finally breaks out, or even if a guy like Jalen Brooks stuns everyone in camp, this decision will ripple through everything. Play calling, defensive matchups, even how teams scheme against CeeDee Lamb. Because if you've got a legit threat opposite Lamb, defenses can't just roll all their coverage his way. Suddenly, the middle opens up for Jake Ferguson. Suddenly, the run game breathes a little easier. Suddenly, you're not asking Dak to be a magician on every third down. That's why this WR2 spot isn't just a depth chart debate. It's a pivot point for the whole offense. And let's be real, the Cowboys front office knows that. They've been aggressive before when they saw a need. Remember Amari Cooper? This could be one of those moments again. So now I'm turning it over to you. After everything we've gone through, the trade options, Tolbert's potential, the underdogs, where do you stand? Should the Cowboys go all in on a trade for a WR2 right now? Or do you believe in the guys already on the roster? Drop your take in the comments and vote in the poll. Let's get this debate going, because one thing's for sure, what the Cowboys do next at wide receiver could make or break this season. And hey, if you're fired up about this topic, make sure you're subscribed. We've got more breaking news, camp updates, and deep dives coming your way right here on Cowboys News TV.